Phil Broker has jailed many gangsters throughout his law enforcement career, but one tragic incident changes everything. While arresting the gangster Danny T, his son is killed, and fueled by grief and anger, the gangster blames Broker and swears to avenge his son's death. Several years later, Broker retires from the police force and moves to a small town to live a peaceful life with his daughter. However, Danny discovers Broker's new home, and with a deadly plan in mind, he sets out to kill both Broker and his daughter. Will Broker be able to protect his daughter? Let's dive into the detailed explanation of the film to find out. At the beginning of the movie, bikers arrive at a large building where drugs are being manufactured. The drugs are scheduled to be transferred to other cities. Danny, the owner of this drug business, is present with his reckless son. Phil Broker, the main character of this film, appears to be a part of the Danny T gang. Suddenly, gunshots erupt from all sides as chaos ensues. Broker is also involved in the shootout, and Danny realizes that Broker is an undercover cop and that he called in the raid. Danny T makes a run for it with his son, with Broker in pursuit. Police have blocked their escape route and open fire on them. Broker asks Danny's son to surrender, but he refuses and is killed by the other officers. Danny T is consumed by fury at his son's death and vows revenge on Broker as he is led away. Fast forward 2 years. Broker has lost his wife and has retired and moved to a distant small town to live with his daughter. He hopes to forget old enemies and live a peaceful new life. Time passes quietly until one day when Maddie, Broker's daughter, gets into a fight with a bully at school. Broker has taught her self-defense and she easily defeats the bully. Unfortunately, the incident leads to a confrontation with the boy's parents who have been called to the school. Outside, the father, Jimmy, is egged on by his wife Cassie, and tries to pick a fight with Broker. In the heat of the moment, Broker throws him to the ground, angering Cassie, who vows to teach Broker a lesson. Later that night, Cassie calls her brother, Gator, a drug dealer with a lot of power in the small town, and convinces him to teach Broker a lesson, even though he initially considers it a trivial matter. A few days later, as Maddie's birthday approaches, Broker visits the school to invite Maddie's teacher. The teacher warns Broker about the town's peculiar residents, especially Gator and his family who are known for holding grudges. She advises him to apologize to Jimmy, as she believes it will resolve the conflict. Broker follows the advice and apologizes to Jimmy, who demands a public apology in front of his wife and son. Broker isn't happy, but decides to comply in order to keep the peace. Not knowing that they had made peace, Gator sends his goons to rough Broker up. They attempt to intimidate him at a gas station by picking a fight. Trained and very skilled at hand-to-hand combat, Broker swiftly overpowers them, leaving Gator annoyed and surprised that the newcomer defeated his 2 thugs. Intrigued and wanting to know more about the man he's dealing with, Gator decides to investigate further and heads to Broker's house. While Broker and Maddie are away, he seizes the opportunity to enter their house. He discovers a file on Broker, revealing his past as a retired DEA agent responsible for the arrest of many major drug dealers, including Danny T. That night, Maddie discovers her favorite toy is missing. So is her cat. When looking for them, Broker discovers the tire of his car has been slashed. A short while later, he also locates the missing toy, only to find its head has been severed. With Jimmy as his only known enemy in town, Broker suspects him of the vandalism. His friend and coworker convinces him that Gator is the one behind the trouble and tells him about the diner where the thug has breakfast every day. Meanwhile, Gator calls his girlfriend, Cheryl, who used to work for Danny T. He instructs Cheryl to reach out to Danny T's gang by leveraging her past connections, so that they can do a deal for drug distribution in return for disclosing Broker's location. Cheryl goes to visit Danny T's lawyer with whom she has had past interactions when she was an escort. She tells the lawyer about Broker and hands him the file that Gator stole. The lawyer understands immediately that his boss will be very happy and want to take revenge. He brings the file to Danny in prison and the gang boss instructs him to find out where Broker is and organize a hit on him immediately. That night, Broker receives a call from a friend in the force informing him that a woman was seen with Danny T's lawyer. He asks his friend to send him the girl's picture. The next day, Broker goes to a diner that Gator frequents. He doesn't realize that the woman with the thug is Cheryl, and the same woman who visited the lawyer. Broker makes it clear that he thinks Gator is the one responsible for the break-in at the house. He apologizes for the school fight incident but warns that any future visits to his house will be the last the person makes. After leaving the bar, Broker's phone beeps. He receives a message from his friend with the picture of the woman who met Danny T's lawyer, and Cheryl's identity is revealed. Realizing Gator's sinister intentions, Broker visits his drug lab, where he cleverly sabotages the facility by filling light bulbs with gasoline and rigging electrical wires to short when they are switched on. When some of Gator's thugs arrive, Broker has another tough battle before dealing with them and leaving. In the city, Cheryl has to meet Danny T's #1 enforcer, a man she is very afraid of. She tries to finalize the deal that Gator wanted her to make, but the criminal threatens to kill her if she doesn't disclose the location of Broker and his daughter. Upon returning home, Broker instructs Maddie to pack their belongings and prepare to leave. As they are packing, Broker's friend alerts him to approaching people. Broker knows it is Danny T's men, coming to pay him back for the death of his son. He tells Maddie to hide and call the police, while he arms himself and confronts the incoming gangsters. In the ensuing confrontation, one of the gangsters spots Maddie and attempts to capture her. Maddie manages to escape into the woods. Meanwhile, Cheryl calls Gator and updates him on the situation, prompting him to take drastic measures. Cheryl, who brought the gangsters to Broker's home by boat, is about to leave when Maddie rushes to her for help, not realizing she is dangerous. Cheryl abducts Maddie, but the girl is able to call her father and tell him that a black-haired woman is taking her somewhere in a boat. Broker realizes she is being taken back to Gator's and commandeers a police car and speeds towards the warehouse. Gator also arrives, furious with Cheryl when he discovers she brought Maddie there as leverage. As they fight and argue, Gator's sister Cassie arrives with her husband Jimmy. Having made up with Broker, they want to know if Gator knows anything about the attack on his house. While they talk, Cassie hears a child scream and goes to investigate. Once in the warehouse, she switches on the lights and a massive explosion occurs as Broker's booby trap is triggered, engulfing the area in flames. In the chaos, Cassie tries to save Maddie, but Gator fights with her and as they wrestle, Cassie is shot. Thinking he has killed his sister, Gator grabs Maddie as a hostage and takes off in his truck just as Broker is arriving in the stolen police car. Gator takes Maddie and flees in a car, with Broker in hot pursuit. The exciting car chase continues many miles, but as they drive onto a closing swing bridge, Broker crashes at the last second and his car overturns. He is helpless and trapped in the wreck as Gator approaches ready to shoot him. The police are isolated on shore and can't take a shot in case they hit the young girl. Maddie distracts the criminal who doesn't want to shoot her father in front of her, and this is when Broker is able to get out of the vehicle and beat him up. Blinded by rage, he is about to kill Gator when he sees Maddie and comes to his senses. Gator is subsequently arrested by the police. In the film's conclusion, Broker visits Danny T in prison, telling the criminal in a determined voice that he'll be waiting for him on the day he is released. With this powerful statement, the movie reaches its conclusion.
Here are today's movie, and if you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.